back to Warlord Radio. I am Carrick Coleman. This is Craig Meinhardt. This is Ace. And with us tonight is Rick Perry. We're very happy about this. Also, Christopher Parise over here, off camera, being a dick.
Yes. Yep. So, we've been working for a while to get our buddy Rick on the show. Rick, of course, for those of you that don't know, legendary guitar player in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. One of my favorite old school bands, Gamicide.
Oh yeah?
A huge Gamicide fan.
Shit, we were talking earlier. I like Puncture a lot because I love goth girls.
His industrial metal project, which is also very cool. I know that you were in Texas Metal Alliance before they turned into War Beast.
Yeah, and I was in War Beast.
And you were in War Beast at the beginning. Now your main project is Iron Jaw.
That's right.
Am I missing any projects?
None worth mentioning.
Okay, those are the main. I mean, that's a lofty resume right there.
Yeah, that's enough.
So I just want to start off with a couple of Gamicide questions because, like I said, it's like they were absolutely one of my favorite, old school.
Gamicide, when I was coming
bands.
up, and this is gonna age me a little bit because I'm only 35.
Okay.
But I Gamicide were some of the first shows that I went to where I was like, this is fucking metal.
Or Joe's Garage and places like that.
Exactly, yeah, man. And places that I lied to get into because I wasn't old enough.
Right.
So the first question I have about Gamicide is kind of what happened in the end with the band? Like what was the eventual end of the band?
Well, Gamicide, I guess we started around 86, 87.
Yeah.
And we got around to finally putting our album out in 1989. Mm-hmm. And we signed to this small label called Wild Rags Records that was run by some guy who had a record store out in California, and he was distributing demos and stuff like that. And he was putting out some demos, pressing them on vinyl.
How did you guys get hooked up with that?
He had a zine too called The Wild Rag.
Yeah.
And
we're talking back in the mixtape days.
Well, yeah.
It was like you were and I were throwing tapes back and forth.
Tape trading before the pre-internet. That's how people found out about bands was through these Xerox fanzines, like Wild Rag. And we sent him the zine. He said, "Hey man, I like your demo tape. Send me 10 copies. I'll distribute them out here and stuff." And pretty soon he started telling me about his other some bands that he was signing. He signed this band called Recipients of Death, and he was getting the guy from Dark Angel to produce the demos. And then he had another band on his label called Blood Cum, which were famous because...
That is such a great name for anything. Whatever your project is, if you call it Blood Cum, I'm following that.
Well, it had the two little brothers were John Araya and Tom Hanneman.
Yeah.
And they were they were the younger brothers of obviously guys in Slayer.
Jeff,
Yeah, if you don't know who those two guys are, you should not be watching this show.
Right. So they so he was putting out these albums, and I said, well, "Why don't you put out one by us?" And he did. He gave us a little bit of money to record the record, which we recorded in Dallas, and it came out in 1989.
Where'd you record in Dallas?
We recorded. There was not that many places to record back then. We recorded at Sound Logic, which is in Garland.
Yep. I know that.
That's where Rigor Mortis did their demo, and Sedition did their demo.
Sedition, shout out to those guys, another badass
I think
band.
Morbid Scream might have recorded there too. I don't know. A lot of bands recorded there, and we recorded the album, put it out, and it came out in 1990. And it got pretty good recognition at the time for a.
I was 5
for a small independent record. But I think when in 1990 the thrash wave was about played out.
Right.
I mean, all the labels were signing thrash bands. I mean.
Every bands that weren't thrash bands were being classified as thrash bands.
Right, and you even had a band Mordred, which had a DJ in the thrash band, and they were trying to.
I cannot express in words how much that would piss me off.
It wasn't right.
Yeah, didn't work. Kids don't try that.
It was just too much thrash. I think the market was saturated.
Yeah.
And I think Gamicide kind of got a little lost in the shuffle because now since the early 2000s, it's been rediscovered by people on the internet.
Well, I was going to say, it seems on the outside that you guys have gained in popularity since the band ended.
We definitely have.
What's cool about the internet is it lets you go back. Like, okay, the way I listen to music personally is that, like, I'll find a band that's contemporary that I like, and then I will go back and find who influenced those bands. Yeah. And then I will go back and find who influenced those bands.
Right.
And again, that's kind of how I figured out about you guys, like Gamma Side and shit. Like, I've seen you, man, if I saw you guys, I was a kid. Pretty sure I've seen you guys, but I know I found your record in that recycled books place that I'm always talking about.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I found out about Celtic Frost in that recycled books place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But we were, we were on a small label. We wanted to get on a bigger label. We thought, well, with this album, we can maybe use it as a calling card to try to get on Combat or Metal Blade or Road Racer, one of those labels back then, Steam Hammer, and we sent it to all of them and talked to all of them. But by then, they were all interested in death metal.
Right.
And suddenly, around 1991, all the labels cared about was death metal.
As soon as Florida started pumping out death metal, like nobody gave a shit about thrash for a minute.
And it was strange to us because we loved Obituary and Morbid Angel and Carcass and
I
Death.
fucking love Carcass. I've talked about that so many times on this show.
We listened to all that stuff, and we didn't think that it was that different, but apparently it was. There was a line and say, okay, no. Exodus, that's old, that's thrash, that's no good no more. It has to be Obituary or something like that. So
well, it's not, but just some marketing geniuses decide that it has to be like regimented, like very narrow.
Exactly.
But that's honestly like my favorite thing is to go to a show and I see bands that complement each other, but they're different.
Yeah.
It gets exhausting at the end if every single band is just like hammering the same thing.
If I go to a show and it's all tech death bands or it's all doom bands or it's all whatever, I'm like, come on, man, like we got so many bands on the scene, we really don't need to do this.
I know, and bands become so specialized in the niche of whatever they do that if you're an extreme death metal band, it's like you can't step 1 inch out of that
can't do that
framework without.
Can't have a thrash part because that's not.
It's going to sound completely out of place, and I don't. And your fans will think
you're. Have you heard of a local band called Monogamizer?
I have heard of them.
Because Monogamizer, very good friends of ours. But like wherever you think there's about to be like a thrash breakdown, they'll like do like a fucking reggae riff or some shit just to fuck with everyone. You know what I mean? Like much respect to Monogamizer.
Yeah. But I follow what you say. But I agree. Like I think it would be awesome to see like Gamma Side and Obituary together because that's what I love. It's like they go together, but they're not identical. Well, it's like that's what you want to see.
Well, we played shows with Death and we played shows with Morbid Angel back then. We played a show with.
That'd be amazing, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I have a question because you were in Gamma Side for how many years?
Like I said, about 87 to 92.
So where did that take you? Because like you're saying, you played with all these guys, like you were just a band out of Fort Worth, I'm assuming, and then but where did you go from there?
We toured all throughout Texas many times, and we went into Louisiana, we went to Oklahoma, we went out to the West Coast one time.
I've been there. That's very expensive.
Yeah, and that was about it. We just we didn't have any major backing, so all we could do was play. We played shows in Corpus Christi.
You try to make you play a show to make gas money to make it to the next show or whatever.
Gas money and tacos, man. That's what it's about sometimes.
Yeah, we didn't achieve any kind of big thing out of it, but
no, but you got to take a band from Fort Worth, and we've been playing in the DFW area forever, and we know bands that don't even make it out of their living rooms sometimes.
Oh yeah,
and you got to go up the West Coast. You like you said, you played with Death, you played with all of these other bands. That's an accomplishment.
Well, to me, it's like if you're a painter, you want people to come to the museum and see your painting.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like if you write music, I mean, you can just do it for yourself in your room for your enjoyment. But I like to, I like for the people to come to the museum and check it out. So
Very much the same.
wherever that might be. So I always think that as many people as you can reach, the better.
Yeah.
However that is, as long as you're not changing the music just for that purpose.
Yeah, no, you want people to see your art.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and I totally feel that. But to get back to Craig's original question, so like when Gamicide was starting to kind of like
we were trying
not unravel. That's a bad word.
Well, we were wanting to put out a second record on a bigger label, but there was really no interest because all the labels said, well, the music's happening, but we're really interested in the death metal vocals and things like that, and it just kind of fizzled out. At the same time, I had started getting into industrial music, and I had bought a 4-track and started doing the puncture stuff just for my own fun.
Amusement, yeah.
Just because, and it just turned out that like kind of industrial music because I had a drum machine, so it just kind of lends itself to that mechanized style of.
So who were some of the early industrial bands that you were kind of jamming to?
Well, I listened to Old Skinny Puppy and Ministry.
Sisters of Mercy.
Frontline
definitely.
Assembly, Sisters of Mercy.
Which is more of a goth band than an industrial band, but like,
It's kind of a fine line. Yeah.
But if you listen to Puncture, like, there's some Sisters of Mercy in there. I'm sorry.
No,
Like,
that's great.
Yeah, I have that album First and Last and Always.
oh my
That's
God,
a great
it's
album.
so good, yeah.
But Voivod was also a big part of Puncture too.
Yeah.
The kind of the
Dimension
form
Hatch-Offs
riffs, stuff like that, where it just sounds like a machine that's
I've said this so
collapsing
many
or
times
something.
on this podcast, like Silvertongue Devil sounds like a different version of Voivod. Like if Voivod decided to play guitars instead of machines, like that's what Silvertongue Devil sounds
It does.
like.
I can hear that.
Right?
But so
Not
okay,
intentional. Not intentional.
I happen to love I love industrial metal. I love goth chicks. Everybody knows that now.
Sure.
I met a very lovely goth chick that I still love to this day at a Puncture show though. Like
Really?
God, man, this was years ago.
So give us the time frame for Puncture. Like,
Well, there was a slight overlap. It was around '92. I put out the demo, and Gamicide was still playing shows, and then, in fact, we had the new Gamicide demo, and I was going to record stores trying to put it on consignment at the stores.
Yep.
And they were
Been there.
and they were really like,
Yeah,
well,
right.
I'm more interested in the Puncture demo, so they'd heard about it,
right.
and so I just said, well, I'll
guys
just
were
start
very-
doing that,
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys were very different even for like industrial metal. Like there was a lot of different influence in there. Like we were just talking about. Like Puncture wasn't just like some asshole band using a bunch of fucking snare in their machines and shit. Like you guys had a lot of musicality in Puncture. You know what I mean?
I guess.
I was a fan. Shit.
We it was really myself and this other guy named Per Nilsson who had no metal background at all. He's just from the Lizard Lounge scene in Dallas. And
No, that's where I
the
saw you
rave scene.
guys. Was like the church.
Yes,
Man.
yeah. So he would just program loops and stuff, and then I would just put riffs on top of it, and it was just a kind of a free form thing. We tried to make it as aggro and heavy as we could,
Right.
but still we got a little more techno and dancey as we
But
went on.
how do you go from like thrash god, no offense, or no, fuck the offense, all the offense. You were a thrash god in Gamicide. How do you go from thrash god to like industrial guy? Like, what was the thought process there? You were just like, I'm done doing thrash and nobody
little
wants
bit.
death metal, or like,
little.
everybody wants death metal rather?
Well, it was the 90s, and I think a lot of probably metalheads tried to reinvent themselves in some way,
like
and try to adapt to the.
I mean, even Halford did an industrial project.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
Metal became kind of unfashionable there,
Oh, yeah.
and
It's a dark time.
And to be honest, I probably, might have went a little too far into the industrial realm with puncture, but really not, because it was what I was into at the time.
But I mean, it was still okay. Yeah. Like it was still industrial, but it was really heavy. Like you were saying, like it was like almost more than anybody else on that industrial scene. Because I remember being around during that time. Like puncture was way heavier.
Well, yeah,
You sounded evil.
We came from a thrash background, so we were going to try to make it as heavy as possible. And we had all the disturbing videos playing and all that stuff, and it was it didn't seem like it was that awkward of a transition. People were the death metal kids liked it,
right?
Yeah. Because it was heavy as shit.
Yeah.
Like, it really was, man. Like, yeah.
They liked it, and the grindcore and all that. They all dug it.
I don't even know if I know what grindcore is. If I'm going to be totally honest, man, I just so lost on that definition.
It's death metal, but kind of more crossed with punk, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
that's just hardcore to me.
The short version is Napalm Death.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, like.
So we go from puncture to now, and you did puncture for how long again? I'm sorry.
Puncture was from about 92. We put out a CD on Century Media in 94.
That had to be pretty wild.
That was pretty cool.
With a big label.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then,
how did you get hooked up with Century Media?
Well, there was another label, and this was actually JL America was one of the first labels that actually put out black metal in the United States.
Yeah.
They had the first records by Impaled Nazarene.
Oh, wow.
Celtic Frost.
Beharit.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
No, Celtic Frost was on... can you pause or something? I gotta...
Just cough. It's all good.
Will you edit it out?
Yeah. You're good.
We're keeping that cough in, by the way.
They had put out the early records by Impaled Nazarene, Beharit, Emperor, and Mayhem. They even put out the first Mayhems.
That's right.
But they liked the puncture demo. I sent it to them too. They liked it, but they said, "Well, this is not going to fit with our label, but we're going to license it to Century Media." And I was like, "Well,
yeah, why not?
That's better. That sounds better to me."
Score.
Here's a question that I actually had. So these like that was in the 90s and 80s, like this pre-internet era, right? But then now it's more like people can just like release independently,
Yeah.
So which one would you recommend? Like, should you do it independently, or
that's a very good question.
Should you release?
So should you release record label or should you release independently?
I think independently. I don't really know what a label can really do for you. I mean, I know they, of course, big labels can do something for you.
Yeah.
If
well, they fund, but you have to pay all that money back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I would have to say you can do it yourself. On my level, it's just better to do it myself.
Right.
Because as long as I can, get the word out about it, then I can sell less records, but you get more.
You keep it 100% of whatever you sell.
Yeah, you keep the money. Yeah.
You owe nobody money. Like, you fund your own tours, you fund your own merch. Like,
You get signed to a label, and for every CD sold, you get 89 cents.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you sell if you do them yourself, then they cost you maybe a couple bucks to make, but you make $8 off each one.
That's true. The only reason I'm asking is because like I released 2 albums independently. Just did the.
They're very good, by the way. You should check them out.
Yeah.
So like I did the whole like Spotify. You have to like create an account for Spotify, iTunes, and all these things. So I did that by myself. It was a very nominal charge, and even like the printing the CDs and stuff like that as well. So my assumption is that like a label would most likely just maybe reduce half of that cost, or like they would probably do the PR, right? Usually, like if it's someone like Century Media or...
That's actually a very good question because, like, when you hook up with bookers and things for local shows, like, and they're supposed to do the PR, do they?
Yeah, that's...
So did these labels do the PR?
Or they may... Well, yeah, Century Media definitely got us in a lot of zines.
Yeah.
All right.
because they, they had all the zines that
worked with them.
And they would send all their stuff to them, and so we definitely got a ton of press out of that. They didn't really hook us up with any booking agent or anything like that.
Okay.
That was all still on our own.
But I mean, did they fund your tour, or was that you guys? Or
No, they didn't. On our second album, we hooked up with a different label because Century Media didn't want to put out a second one for some reason. But so we hooked up this other record label called MIA, which was in Houston, and they put us on tour with Guar and Electric Hellfire Club.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
You got to go on tour with Guar and Electric Hellfire?
Yeah, that was a
Here's a weird
great
fact about
experience.
me, and I'm not trying to distract from your
Yeah.
interview at all, but I was one of the last 3 people to interview Dave Brocky before he passed. I was working for some fucking website called Sophicking News, and I'm such a Guar nerd, right?
Right.
So I did like all this research. I'm going to learn everything about, and I went in there and we talked about like dolphin rape and sticking tits in your dick slit. Like I lost control of that interview immediately because of Dave Brocky.
Yeah,
Like,
I imagine.
yeah.
He was a great guy, man. He was awesome.
He was
hilarious too.
Again, like he didn't make me look like a fool, but he made it
It's his interview.
very known that it was his interview.
Yeah, right. Was he in character as?
He was absolutely in character, yeah. Because like they told us before we went in, they were like,
He was
"He's
wearing
not
his
feeling
outfit
great."
and stuff?
Yeah, this was at the Housecore Fest.
Housecore horror? Yeah.
A while ago. Sorry. But I remember, like, I went in there and his agent came up and she was like, "Hey, he's not feeling great, so like the interview's gonna be short." And I was like, "Cool." And then I made the dumbass mistake of going in and asking Odorous Arungus. I was like, "I heard you're not feeling great." He's like, "What are you talking about? I snorted 14,000 pounds of crystal meth and did 1,000 sit-ups. Go fuck yourself." And I was just like, "No, this is not my interview anymore. This is your interview, sir."
Mistake.
Sorry, I did not mean to do
No. We had a great time with him, and
what is it like being on tour with fucking Guar, man?
oh man, they were. We did their. It was called their tour of the secondary markets, which is all like the smaller cities. It wasn't like like we didn't play New York City. It was like
Buffalo.
Buffalo. It was
yeah.
Buffalo.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You know, and they were all kind of like small theaters or big clubs, and some places were very small, way smaller than you expect them to be playing.
Especially for a Guar show because they have so much going on.
They
you
had
know
the
what I mean? Yeah.
giant dinosaur and all kinds of crap. You know, they had the big set with looked like a castle or something, and it was awesome. I mean,
No, when I saw them, they
had-
shot
they
Justin Bieber's dick off. Like George Washington was in a
I
flying
forgot what their
saucer.
shtick was back then.
Yeah.
They had a I can't remember exactly what the deal was. I mean, I saw the show every night, but they had like a pope getting beheaded and
Yeah, they
all
did shit
kinds
like
of,
they dismembered Britney Spears or some shit like
Yeah.
on stage. It was really wild. Anyway,
very very much current events.
so
You know,
you got to go on tour with Guar, which had to be fucking insane.
it was.
And then, so what happened after that?
Well, we did great on that tour. The second band, Electric Hellfire Club, they didn't really fare as well as we did.
I remember the Electric Hellfire Club, but I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't push up on them. I did.
Well,
but I'm
it's
weird.
It's a Guar
Yeah.
show, so it's
Yeah.
like that's a tough audience. Like you
Guar
have,
was
you have to
the
bring
goal.
your shit.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And they were kind of a little more disco-y.
Yeah. Dance.
I thought
Almost like Ghost.
I had a good time
Yeah.
with them. They were cool dudes, and I hung out with Thomas Thorne a lot from Electric Hellfire Club. They were like our satanic drinking buddies, and
Nice.
they were good
These are
guys.
my satanic drinking.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they were good guys. But people would throw quarters at them and stuff.
So what year is this roughly?
96.
96.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, we came back, and again trying to find a new label or something like that. The label I think that was that MIA Records, they had kind of collapsed, and we were trying to find a new label. And by this time it was around 98, 99. It just kind of like lost lost steam. You know, the project. I mean,
It happens, man.
We were still playing shows around here, but I didn't want to just keep playing the same thing around here. You know, I don't know. It was just.
The thing about musicians,
it was time to move on.
Get bored, man. We get bored, man. Like if we're doing the same thing for like 10 years, we get kind of.
It was 1999. I just, you know, it was time to put Puncture to bed. You know, I mean, I figured that.
Because I think I saw you in '99, so I was probably 14 years old, but I looked like this, so I still got into the church.
Right.
And I think I saw you probably in about '99, and I met a very nice girl at your show. But then, so
well, let me ask you this, because I want to ask you about your influences. Because I'm a big riff guy, and one of the things I've always loved about your guitar playing is you bring riffs.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I mean.
Riffs.
I love shredding
riffs,
too. Yeah. Like I just posted a thing about Yngwie Malmsteen today, which he's great.
You made me think he was dead, motherfucker. No, I know he's not dead, but you posted that and I was like, did Yngwie Malmsteen die?
Right?
Like, why is Craig posting about Yngwie Malmsteen right now?
It was just a thing I came across. But you know, I love shredders. But to me, the riff is where it's at.
Me too.
And that's, you know, one of the things I always appreciate about your playing.
Yeah.
So kind of like, what's your background? Like, who really influenced you?
You know, I grew up, I mean, the first band I got into was like Kiss.
Right.
I mean, Kiss, and first concert I saw was Kiss in 1977.
And Ace Frehley,
what tour was that?
Love Gun.
Yeah, and Ace Frehley was a riff guy. You know what I mean? Like everybody else in Kiss, like Paul Stanley was a great frontman. Gene Simmons is a worse bass player than I am. Peter Criss is actually very good, but like Ace Frehley wrote those nasty, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like the Love Gun riffs, the Detroit Rock City riffs.
Well, he I don't know how many of those riffs he wrote. I mean, I think Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons probably wrote a lot of those riffs, but I know that.
Wrong?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, you're wrong.
All right.
Well, no, I mean, Ace wrote some good ones.
No, call me out of my podcast. Man. That's what this is here for. Yeah.
But Ace definitely, his leads are like textbook
Ace
rock and roll leads.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it was definitely Kiss that I got into, and then that kind of led into Sabbath and Van Halen and
Sabbath
Priest.
Is, in my opinion, obviously, Tony Iommi
they're the source of everything.
A riff master.
Yeah,
like
he is.
And he can still do that. Like if you just like, hey man, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he'll come up with a riff that is so fucking heavy and nasty that like nobody can even compare to it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I agree.
I do think he's probably written more great riffs than anybody ever.
I agree.
He's written them all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already written almost every one of them, you know?
Yeah. No, we praise Sabbath on this show quite a bit.
A lot of the riffs that everyone comes up with are just kind of variations on, it's a Children of the Grave style. Or, you know, it's a...
or Into the Void or something like that.
Yeah, or it's a Symptom of the Universe, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say I've always been more influenced by songs and heavy riffs more than lead playing, you know.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm.
Were you ever big into the Scorpions? Because if I would guess, like I would guess that in your
I definitely like Scorpions around the time of Love Drive and even going back to some of the Uli era, which I didn't get into that until later.
Right.
But when I first got into Scorpions, it was probably around Love Drive. Yeah. And then Animal Magnetism and Blackout.
So Shanker.
Yeah, but then after Blackout, I stopped. They got kind of too pop.
They got a little too Def Leppard. They not bad, but like not my cup of tea.
It's not that cool. I mean, it was just too polished, and I think they never really have reclaimed that heaviness that they had. They probably don't want to.
I agree.
But Scorpions is one of my influences. Then later on, of course, Venom and Motorhead and Slayer. I loved all that stuff. Exciter.
Motorhead.
Slayer.
Creator.
Creator Pleasure to Kill and Extreme Aggression and Terrible Certainty.
Yeah.
All those albums, all that German thrash, Destruction, Sodom.
Yeah.
Fucking Accept. Ball Through the Walls, tell me that's not one of the greatest metal songs ever written, dude.
Accept is
Fast as a Shark.
Fast as a Shark,
Yeah, man.
Breaker, all that stuff. So all that stuff is there. I would say that's, those are the main ones.
That's a great list.
AC/DC.
Like in a good way, I can totally hear that, like in the stuff that you write, just because it's got that catchy hook, which to me is like very key.
That's what I always try to do. Is, to me, like the great riffs of the classic era stuff like AC/DC or Priest, very simple riffs, and it's really hard to write riffs that are simple, that are that good.
Right. The riff should be the hook, and the verse should be maybe even a little more melodic or complicated, in my opinion. And then the solo should be fucking insane. You know what I mean? In my opinion. Yeah. Like, if you're gonna go formulaic with it, that's the formula. Like, the riff should be so catchy that you hear that shit in your sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons, like you said, AC/DC or something like that. Like, tell me you've never woken up and heard Hell's Bells in your fucking head.
I think maybe when I first heard AC/DC, it was Angus Young who was, what attracted me to it. But then later on, as you study it more, you realize that Malcolm Young is just such a badass.
Right.
The lyrics.
The way, and he doesn't even crave the spotlight. He was just content to just be back there, just
riffing,
hammering,
Yeah.
And
tremendous rhythm player.
Could you imagine if an angel came down from heaven and was like, your job is to dress as a schoolboy and play the fucking sickest guitar riffs that anyone's ever heard, and it's only going to take 3 chords, and that's what happened to him, that lucky prick.
It was really, if you look at the, on YouTube, they have like a old footage of AC/DC on the Midnight Special when the first time they played there.
Yeah, with Bond.
Yeah, and the audience is just shocked.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one that he came out cross-dressing on?
No.
That's a different one?
That's a different one. That was on Australian TV.
That's the one I'm thinking
No,
of.
you're thinking of the one, though, where he didn't even come out. So the whole band starts to play, and then all of a sudden this boy in a purple crushed velvet schoolboy suit just comes out kicking and shit and playing like the fucking nastiest riffs you've ever heard in rock and roll at the time.
I remember seeing that on TV, because another thing that people forget is how rare it was to see rock and roll on TV.
Right.
You would stay up, on Friday nights to see Midnight Special or Don Kirshner's rock concert, so you could see, maybe they might show one short clip of Deep Purple or Nazareth or something like that, and you're just, wading through the soft rock just to get something like that was kind of heavy.
Right. And like, dude, they had to escort Arthur Brown out of a city because he did the God of Hellfire song or whatever in like some southern city, and had to hide him like under the carpet in a cab so people didn't kill him. Yeah, that's how rare rock and roll was back then. It was so very strange.
Yeah, there was no venue. It just like I was thinking also how you would tape stuff off the radio, because now
that was the first time I ever heard "fuck" is because I taped a Who song off the radio and they snuck the word "fuck" in. That was the first time I heard "fuck" on the radio. I can't even remember what song it was.
Who Are You?
It is Who Are You? Yeah. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. Yeah, we would tape songs off the radio, and because it wasn't like now, you can just listen to it anytime you want. Just go to YouTube and play.
We're a little old. We're a little longer in the tooth than the YouTube guy. Like, we were already adults when YouTube came out.
Right.
We were passing around tapes, and like I remember, man, one of the first fucking things that like just got my goat is I got one. You remember those old Punk-O-Rama CDs that the Edge used to put out back when they were like still badass?
I think so.
Yeah, man, somebody handed me a Punk-O-Rama CD, and I heard Tripping Daisy for the first time, and I was like, I want to kick everyone's ass. Like, I don't know, man, it was weird.
So,
what about compilations and stuff?
Yeah, it was a bunch of compilations.
That's where I discovered a whole shit ton of metal bands.
Yeah.
Is like I would
Metal
pick
Massacre,
up, like Metal Massacre,
Speed
or
Kills.
there was
I fucking
a
heard
series. It was
Bombzilla.
called Death Is Just the Beginning.
Yeah.
and there would be like part 1 through 8 or whatever, and it would be like a 2-disc set. And, there'd be like 16 bands on there. And I'd hear stuff I had no idea who they were at the time, like Dimmu Borgir and Agatha Daemon and Sinister and, just all hypocrisy. Monstrosity. I'm like, a lot of like Euro bands that were on Nuclear Blast. And I was like,
compilation
who the fuck is this? But it was great because that was how you learned who bands were. Because you weren't going to see a video for Gorgoroth back in the day.
Sorry, man, I wasn't that into No Doubt. I wanted to hear Tripping Daisy sing about heroin.
Right. So walk us back. So about 99 was kind of the end of Puncture. Is that right?
Yeah. And then I pretty much just sat on the couch and watched the Godzilla movies for about 4 or 5 years.
Well, I mean, no shame in that.
I was going to say that's a pretty solid plan, actually.
What's your favorite Godzilla flick? What's your favorite one?
The first one, probably.
Same, brother.
Mine is actually Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah,
I love it
that one
so
too.
goddamn much. I love it. With the whole electrical wire thing, like, it's so dumb, but I love
that
it.
movie.
Yeah.
I actually just rewatched that like a month ago.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love kaiju flicks. Like,
Yeah.
I heard y'all's episode you did with Billy y'all got into a deep Godzilla conversation, and I was
he is a massive
I was like,
Godzilla
damn man,
fan.
I wish I could join in on that.
I know, right? Well, we'll have like
we should do one of those
Godzilla-thon or something.
No, we do these weird like top 5 episodes every other week. We should get you and Billy LaFond on and talk about your favorite kaiju shit.
Yeah.
I'm with it, man.
Yeah. So huge Godzilla fans as well.
Anyway, I sat on the couch for about 5 years, and I literally did nothing but watch Godzilla movies.
It happens, man.
I mean, that's not a bad thing. So, and then that led into Texas Metal Alliance.
Well, actually, we did a Gamma Side reunion.
That's when I saw Gamma Side because I didn't because I grew up in Oklahoma.
Okay.
So I wasn't here when Gamma Side was playing at like Joe's Garage and stuff like that. I was in Oklahoma and fucking nobody came to Oklahoma.
Where did you see us at? We played the Galaxy Club.
So it was the Galaxy Club with Rigor Mortis.
Yeah, that was a good show.
It was a great show, and it was funny because it was I just moved down to Dallas from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first shows. I mean, I come down to like see like the bigger shows and stuff, but this was one of my first shows living here.
Yeah.
And I remember going down to Deep Ellum and walking up to the Galaxy Club, and it was great because literally as I'm walking up to the club, the bouncer is bringing a guy out by the head, just pulling him out and like throwing him out into the street.
You have to do that sometimes.
No, it was awesome.
As it should be.
Yeah, and I walked in and it was just chaos. The club was packed. It was like fucking hot and sweaty. Like you guys came up and Rigor was great because Rigor was great, but I was mainly there to see you guys. Awesome. And you guys just shredded and it sounded amazing. I was like, fuck yes. So that was my chance to get to experience you guys live.
That was we played a show and the first one we did was going to be Rigor Mortis and us and Rotting Corpse. We were all going to play in Fort Worth. And when we announced that show, I mean, people were like, "You're gonna fly in from all over the country and stuff," and it was like, "Wow, man, people really give a shit." Yeah. And
well, I mean, how long had it been since you guys played as Gamma Side last?
It had been like 15 years. Probably. When it was so mind blowing that whenever we did our sound check and then when we left, there was like a line of kids outside waiting to get into that place, and it was packed. And I mean, and then after the show, people were coming up to the merch stand, and they were introducing me to their kids and stuff, and and it was
wild.
It's weird,
especially considering when you're in it and when you're playing all the time in a band and stuff like that, and if you're not like playing like great shows, you can kind of get down on it.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like Craig and I are not just like, oh, we love metal. Like, we're metal kids. Like, we're the ones that were there, like, at 8 years old, just being like, this is awesome. Why isn't everybody worshiping Satan like we are? You know what I mean? So, like, I didn't get to see your reunion show.
Okay.
He did. But, like, we were both, like, equally, like, excited for it. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Man.
No, because Craig and I were the kind of kids. It's like, man, dude, I went to this place, and I've talked about it on the show before. I had this place called Recycled Books.
So when you got into metal, you literally when you're like 8 or 9 years old?
Yeah, my dad showed me Black Sabbath when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And the first song on Black Sabbath, that shit changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, I became this.
Right.
And this is not impressive, but I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I will say, like, no, because I got into thrash, of course, like everybody else my age did.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like, but when I didn't get to see the Gamma Side show, the reunion, but I was like, I remember like distinctly being excited about that show, even though I didn't get to go.
What were some of the early concerts that you saw?
The shows, okay, I saw you guys at, okay.
Not us. No, just like concerts in
early
general.
concerts in general?
Yeah.
Okay, so, actually, man, my dad took me to this one, and I will forever love this band, forever, and you can call them metal, and you can call them not, but they beat Metallica one year. First show I ever saw was Jethro Tull.
Okay.
I still fucking love Jethro Tull.
Sure.
Ian Anderson, I hope you listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
But no, the first metal show I think I ever saw, and I'm not counting Kiss, because I think of Kiss as more hard rock than metal.
I do too.
The first metal show that I ever saw, though, was my dad took me to Osmosis.
Okay.
So we're talking what?
It was Ozfest?
No, that album Osmosis,
it was
which
the
was like
tour
98.
Osmosis, not Ozfest.
98, 99, I think.
Yeah, so I was maybe like 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
He also took me to Deep Purple, which I also consider very metal.
Yeah.
And he took me to, Dad took me to Yngwie.
Yeah?
Dad took me to Yngwie, and I heard Arpeggios from Hell.
Yeah,
I'm a bass player,
Yeah.
which means that none of that applies to me whatsoever, but like that shit, again, that was one of those concerts where
he had like 9 stacks on his side, and
That's
everyone
right.
else had one.
That's right. One combo amp for the bass player.
But it was always my dad. My dad took me to all of my early metal shows. The first metal show that I ever went to by myself, and most people don't even consider this a metal band, but I definitely fucking do, was Alice in Chains.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw Alice in Chains. That was one of the first concerts that I went to with like out parental supervision.
Was it a club show, like just Alice in Chains?
No, dude, this was a fest. It was
Was it?
Fuck.
Wasn't Clash of the Titans, was it?
No. Dude, I don't know.
Because that was their first big tour, you know.
We're talking.
And
Yeah,
that's
Gamma Side played that.
We're talking dirt,
Oh, yeah?
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
We played. They had a sound Warehouse Records had a small stage on the side there at Starplex.
Yeah.
And
It was at the Starplex.
yeah, they asked the Gamma Side to play, like we were supposed to play like before Alice in Chains, and then during the intermissions.
Right.
We only did
Holy
the first.
shit! Maybe I saw you before I realized.
We only did the first 2.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was probably the biggest show Gamma Side ever did.
That's pretty. I mean, that's a huge fucking show, dude.
This
That
was
was Clash
like
of the
the
Titans,
dirt
bro.
era, though, right? Like.
No, it was their first
No,
album.
that was
well, yeah,
before,
first album.
That was before Facelift.
You're right.
Right. Yeah.
Man, shit. I'm
Yeah.
old.
No one knew who they were.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. There were stories about like people throwing beers at him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know.
Oh no, that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they weren't thrash or
Yeah.
People were like, what
First
the fuck
like
is this?
metal show where like everybody else would consider it metal though. I think I went to the Summer Sanitarium tour and saw Metallica. Like you do. Like
Sure.
this was like, man, fuck. 2003 maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
That's 17 fucking years ago.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
Well, so what was the first metal show you ever saw, man?
The first metal show I saw, because I used to back then there wasn't metal, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
Kiss. I saw the first concert I saw was like Kiss, and then Foreigner, and then
Foreigner's metal.
Ted Nugent.
Foreigner's metal.
Watch
You
it,
shut
sir.
up. You
Watch
shut
it,
up.
sir.
Yeah, you said Kiss was hard rock,
Right.
but Deep
Yeah,
Purple is metal.
Watch it, sir. Yeah.
Foreigner's metal.
I'll let it slide.
However,
But
Ted
no.
Nugent came out dressed like Tarzan,
Right.
playing a fucking Les Paul, and you cannot say that's not metal.
He's not metal.
What
At
era?
the time, metal was,
broad.
It was.
We'll say that at the very least.
I got old magazines that say, "Who rules heavy metal, Queen or Aerosmith?"
Yeah.
And right,
fucking Queen.
Right.
Aerosmith. Fuck you, Aerosmith.
But that's what metal was back then. Yeah. Nazareth, UFO, all those bands were considered heavy metal.
Man, Nazareth because Nazareth had those chunky riffs you were talking about, though.
They definitely did.
Nazareth had those riffs that were they were heavy as shit, they were hard as fuck, and then getting Aerosmith.
Well, the main thing about Nazareth is that dude's voice is like, you can saw through wood with it.
And it's kind of the same thing with like a band like Journey or something like that. Like, you can say Journey's not metal all day, but find me a fucking singer like Steve Perry. Yeah. I dare you.
His name is Joey Belladonna, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I just got schooled on
all right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a smoke break. Let Carrick inject some nicotine.
I need nicotine. You guys know I need nicotine.
But we're going to use this as a chance to play the first of two songs from Rick's current project, Ironjaw. So, Rick,
I'm so excited about this.
What song would you like us to play here in this little break that we're going to take?
Why don't we play Crypt of Rodan?
Crypt of Rodan. Give us a brief description of the song.
Did you say Crypt of Rodan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Crypt of Rodan.
Lord of the Rings, right as a...
No, Rodan.
Rodan, my bad. I'm an idiot. I just fucked up on the
podcast
again. I'm so sorry,
The writers of Rodan.
You're alright. It's alright.
I'm done. I quit this podcast. This is Chris's show now.
That's right.
It's not... It didn't really start off being about Rodan, and in fact, it's just kind of a loose interpretation, kind of a reimagining of Rodan, like more of a... It's more like about a cult worshiping some kind of ancient prehistoric thing, and
that's badass.
And having them come, summoning them up.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
In the first Rodan movie where they it's the big egg chamber that they go in, like the miners stuff.
Yeah, the miners.
Because I also know that Rodan is from Godzilla and not Lord of the Rings.
Right.
That's right.
That's the Crypt of Rodan. But I thought, I don't want to write a song like that. Let's make it a little more across, like Rodan was an H.P. Lovecraft monster, something like that. So.
Well, badass. Well, this is Crypt of Rodan by Ironjaw.
Forgotten prayers unheard tonight, where the sleepers lie. Revolve around the sun each day, a debt you never will repay. Stimulate common sense, a blessing and a curse. The outcome I have come to dread turns out to be worse. Incantations, elders speak high on Marshall Hill. Thunderheads like battlements, for the kill. Holding past the fading dreams, awakened by the distant jackboots in the streets below, coming on the one you know. Hopes that lead to ancient tomb, now we exist. Crypt of Rodan, gods of the night, nocturnal plan. Dark wings lift us and take flight. surface crust. Wings of terror now unveiled, a mortuary shroud. Cast its doom, laid in shadows. Over fleeing crowd. Solstice at the equinox, sacred spell is cast. Prayers unheard for countless years, answered now at last. Leather wings eclipse the sun, designed to men now come undone. Yeah, undone. Floating past the fading dreams, awakened by the distance. Jackboots in the streets below, coming on the one you know. Hopes that V2.0 now we exile. Ripped of Rodan, gods of the night, nocturnal plan. Dark wings lift the sound. Ripped of Rodan, gods of the night, nocturnal plan. Dark wings lift the sound.
Welcome back, guys. So we are here with our buddy Rick from Ironjaw, and we're continuing the conversation.
We are post nicotine. I am
We're-
much more calmed down.
Yes,
Yeah.
got the fix.
Yeah.
So Rick actually had a question for us.
Yeah, I did. I saw your thing you had put on Facebook the other day about you were no longer with Misanthropic Records.
Right, yeah.
And,
I'm actually very curious about this, but out of respect, did not ask.
And
No, it's no big. It's no big deal. I mean,
first of all, I didn't know that y'all were signed to that label. I mean,
yeah.
A couple of
who,
years
who
now,
are
right?
they and what do they?
So they're an indie label out of Kentucky,
Okay.
and we got hooked up with them. So we work with a PR company out of Oklahoma called Metal Coffee PR.
Uh-huh.
And the guy that runs that is a guy that we've known for a while. Before he ran the PR company, he would come hang out with us when we played in Oklahoma. And then he hit us up and he's like, hey, I'm starting a PR company. And it's like, okay, well, that's a good idea. Because we try to do as much DIY as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like all like shoot our music videos. You know, we've just started recording ourselves, but you know, it's like we've worked with the same team of like recording engineers and stuff like that on our albums and things.
Yeah.
And so when the time came and we were recording a new album, and you know, I just sent out like a bunch of feelers and stuff like that, and we got some responses, but they were all just horrible deals, you know.
Yeah.
Those email responses like, hey man,
like
we're
from
gonna give
other
you a
labels?
$50
Yeah, from other
Hot Topic
labels.
gift card.
So, you know, it's like we had some interest from other labels. You know, nothing of note, not like, you know, Nuclear Blast or anything
Right.
like that. But other indie labels would reach out and want information. And then as soon as we like started to talk,
But
like,
what kind of
nitty-gritty-
offers would they give you?
Oh, just horrible stuff where it would be like, hey,
We'll
why
give
don't
you
you
20 copies of your CD to sell at shows or something?
or one was even to re-record the
Hold
album
up, does
that
that
we
happen? You give me
just
20 copies of my own fucking CD?
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, man.
yeah, well, pretty much, yeah. So
That's pretty common, actually.
yeah,
That sucks.
so just a bunch of garbage. But so we talked to the guy that runs Misanthropic because he also worked with the PR company. So I kind of figured, I was like, oh, you know, there's got to be some kind of connection.
And you figured it would get you known, get your name
You
out
know,
there.
help us, because that was one of the things that we talked about was
Like you talked about,
like
what
what we
PR. Like, yeah.
like what we wanted,
yeah.
because we had like a specific goal, because like one of the things that I was looking for with the band is that, you know, all respect to people that get out there and just, you know, go out on the road and stuff like that. I'm not so sure that's maybe the best model to follow. because if you don't have like any kind of like
Following.
advertising or following, or if you're not going with a known act, I mean, if you're going out there with Testament, awesome. But if you're going with, if everybody on tour is at the same level, like, there's not a lot of point to go play somewhere on a Tuesday night.
I paid $2,000 to go on tour and ended up playing with bands that pulled less than we did in states that we were unknown. You know what I mean?
So that was what we were trying to avoid. So my plan was to try to get festivals. And not, you know, like start small, go bigger. Yeah. You know, but it's at least at festivals, a cross section of people can see you and stuff like that.
Sure.
So we talked to the guy, and you know, one of the things that we really harped is like, look, it's like, you don't have to worry so much about like touring and stuff like that. We're pretty self-contained. It's like we want help with promotion, but we do a lot of stuff ourselves. But we really want to like get on fests. And he's like, cool, I can help with that. It's like, all right, cool. So we signed like a 1-year contract, and then
you already had an album that he was just going to distribute?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
How many albums actually now does Silver Tongue Devil actually have?
Well, we got 300 vinyls pressed.
Okay, no, I'm talking albums.
Oh, albums themselves.
The board.
4.
How many?
4 full lengths.
4 full-length albums, you guys.
And so they had the rights. They had the rights to all of them.
Non-exclusive rights, and that was a part of the contract.
They were just able to.
Yeah.
Did they print up new copies?
So
with their label on it or something?
Yes. But so we signed a non-exclusive contract that said that we could work with other people, and without getting into too much nitty-gritty. There was some very
this is Warlord Radio, man. Fucking torch them.
Yeah. Well, I honestly just don't want to give them the airspace.
Fair enough.
They acted very unprofessionally a few times, and I would bring it up, and I would be like, hey, you guys have a right to say whatever you want to say and stuff like that, but you guys are running a business. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a little immature for you to act like 14-year-olds and get in flame wars online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, we don't
You're
associate...
not trapped.
We don't associate with that. And, oh, okay, whatever. Well, then, like, at the end, we were already kind of planning on leaving because our contract was supposed to expire in December. And we were already going to bail because they really hadn't done jack shit for us.
They didn't get you on any festivals?
Well, no, because COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so...
Again, not totally their fault.
Not totally their fault,
Yeah.
Indeed. So I don't want to hold that against them, but it was just more of kind of the unprofessional attitude and stuff like that. Well, then they came at us out of nowhere and said, hey, if you still work with Metal Coffee PR, we can't work with you anymore. And,
why?
And I was like, you can't tell me that. We have a non-exclusive contract.
Yeah.
And
like this
we've
worked
with them longer than we've worked with you. And he's like, well, you know, we don't like them, blah, 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 blah. I was like, cool. Immediately disassociate us with everything that you guys do.
Yeah.
And we immediately dipped out, and I blocked him on everything.
I will say this for every band out there that has to sign a contract, because all of us have had to sign contracts in our past, man. We have certain, like, non-disclosure agreements. We have certain, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Discrepancies.
Yeah.
In our contracts that you can't, like, bag on. And man, the minute you do, I'm out. Like, I'm out,
well, yeah,
dude.
That's just it. It's like you can't tell me that I can't work with somebody and you're not even paying for it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, fuck off, no.
Right. No, that's not how this works at all,
Yeah, so...
I'm the one producing the product. Why the fuck would I do that?
Yeah. So, you know, it was just very unprofessional of them. So, I mean, it was kind of like lesson learned. You know, it's...
So what were they going to get out of it? They were going to be... You already had a CD done.
Right.
So they could just sell it.
Yeah.
And what? And just keep half the money or something? And
I mean,
in exchange, they were going to get you on festivals? Or how did...
Well, yeah, like, the deal itself is that, like, you know, they were going to get a certain percentage of albums that they help sell, and stuff like that, and then like stuff that we sold at our own shows, like on our own, that was ours, and then they would get like a certain percentage of any shows that they booked, and they did actually have some shows booked up for us when the shutdown happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we were supposed we had
same thing happened,
guarantees to go play
yeah.
in places out of state and across Texas and stuff like that, where they had it set
Fuck,
up with
we were
guarantees
supposed- we were
and stuff
supposed
like
to play
that,
USO.
and then they were going to get a certain cut of that and stuff like that. So in theory, right, it was supposed to be mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
You know, it just in practice didn't work out to be that way.
I will say this though, and like while I'm not like defending those guys at all, I will say that like we are living in a very unprecedented time for live music.
No, it's true. Like
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing to me was not the biggest thing to me was the unprofessionalism.
Yeah.
It is just like
You
it's
don't
like,
want to be associated with that.
yeah, it's like look, it's like there are things that we do not do in the band, like we don't troll people online. We don't get in arguments on social
Craig
media.
won't even have a drink until after his set's
like
over.
we don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like we focus on the music and the show and what we're trying to do, and we keep it 100% that.
Yeah.
And don't really have time for people that you know want to be immature about it.
Right.
And everybody's free to do their own thing, but it's like if we're going to work with you in a professional manner, we expect you as a baseline
Yeah.
to be as professional as we are.
This
If
is a
there
business
reaches a
that I'm
point
running, yeah.
where the band
Yeah.
is more professional than you are, there's a fucking problem.
Big time.
Because
Seriously,
we're the
man, I'll
band.
do cocaine
Right.
off
You know what I mean?
boners.
We're
Like, I
Supposed to
don't
be
care.
maniacs.
Yeah, it's like, fucking come on. You know, it's like, so anyway.
No, I was curious about that too.
that's
I'm
the
actually
story.
glad we got to clear it out here, and I'm actually really glad you asked the question, not me.
Well, I was curious about it.
Yeah.
I saw the thing you put up there, and I was like, oh, wonder what that's all about.
Yeah.
No, it's like Silver Tongue Devil is a great band. Oh, like I would even argue an institution in this area.
Denton Staple.
And a Denton Staple. Yeah, but I would say that like, man, people underestimate the fact that we are businessmen. Like we are contractors. Like we play fucking metal and we hail Satan and we do all this kind of crazy shit. But like, dude, we're not idiots. Like we know our fucking contracts and shit. You know what I mean? Like we do. And if you don't, like, you're doing it wrong. Learn more about contract law, bud. Like, sorry. I had a point. I think I lost it.
I'm not telling anything
Shit.
you don't know, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, the reality is that you got to watch your own back.
Sure.
Because there's a whole lot of people out there that will screw you over if they can.
All right. So, we spent the first half of the fucking show talking about fucking Puncture and Gamicide. Let's talk about Iron Jaw now. Like,
Okay.
what is Iron Jaw about? Because, hold up, man. First off, I love my swag. I always love my swag. But look how dope that shit is.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, that is some rad art right there, man.
I would get that
Yeah, that's,
tattooed on my back.
Carcass
Like,
John.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, shout out to Carcass
Yeah,
John.
Carcass John did that art.
Did a great job.
So what is Iron Jaw now? Like, what are you doing now?
So, describe the sound to people that maybe don't know who you are.
I would say when you were asking me about my influences, I would say it goes back to that. You know, instead of maybe some of the thrash stuff. I mean, most of the music was pretty much arranged by myself and Jeff, who's the other guitar player.
Right.
He's also from a thrash band back in the old days called Plague Allegiance.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't realize.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. He
right
was
on.
in Plague Allegiance, and then Randy, our drummer, used to play in Rotting Corpse.
Yep.
And
Those guys are awesome.
yep, Clay McCarty, our bass.
Rotting Corpse is kind of a staple around here. Honestly.
Yes, they are. Clay McCarty played bass in Toxic, which was another band from, you know, in the early infancy of the DFW metal scene. And I guess, you know, instead of playing, you know, high-speed thrash metal, just felt like wanted to play some songs that went back to some of the stuff that made us want to get into metal in the first place.
Yeah.
Like Sabbath and Priest and AC/DC and you know, Motorhead, Saxon,
Yeah.
Iron Maiden,
Saxon.
you know,
Well,
things like that.
Denim and leather.
Well, that's the thing I picked up on is to me, it sounds kind of like proto metal because I detect a very heavy like new wave of British heavy metal
Yes.
vibe.
Well, not
Right.
even like,
But
like
it's
like,
still-
when you're
it-
thinking about
it's
proto
got
metal,
a
though, you're
little
thinking about
bit
like
more
Blue
of
Cheer
an
and Electric
edge.
Wizard and shit too.
Trying to avoid any sort of modern influences. I don't like to force the music in a certain direction.
Right.
But I don't want it to sound too modern.
Sure.
I don't want, you know.
I am in Diesel Beast. You and I are
Yeah.
very much of the same mind here.
Yeah, I mean,
I created an entire Nawaba metal
I grew
band.
up in the scene. You know, I was friends with Dimebag Darrell, but I don't want to sound like Pantera. I don't want any Pantera riffs in there.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I want it to sound before that.
Right.
I'm friends with Craig Meinhardt. I want my shit to sound like Silver Tongue Devil at all.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I would say just we try to recapture that
the original,
more song-oriented, and not just
But bands like
worrying about being a blur of speed or crushing heaviness.
Right.
You want bands like Omen. And like fucking Brockus Helm and like you know what I mean?
A few minutes ago, when you said Foreigner is metal, that made me think what he means is Foreigner songs move you.
Yes.
They strike a chord within you.
Yeah.
Right? Not that they're super
not
metal, because they're not.
No.
But they're
not very, very much not. And you can hit me in the face for it.
No, but I love the old Foreigner too, so I know what you're talking about.
But it's that cross between when rock and roll became heavy metal. There's this like cross point there.
Yes.
And Judas Priest is very much at that cross point. Iron Maiden is very much at that cross point.
Right.
Pentagram is very much at that cross point.
Because younger kids today probably would listen to Judas Priest or whoever else and think, well, that's rock and roll. That's old man rock.
Yeah.
You know, but to me, that's metal.
But like, I listen to Christian and I were talking about this the other day. Budgie, Brad Fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not a fucking metal song. Like, fight me and tell me that the fucking Budgie isn't a metal song. I'll kill you.
I agree with you.
The going through the daisies middle part kind of throws me for a loop. I think Metallica improved it a little bit there, but
They did.
Trash, but we're talking
but
about
no disrespect. It's still cool, you know. But
like bands like
I know what you're saying.
It came out in '71.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, you got to give it up for the guys that were there first. I mean, it's kind of like the first Judas Priest album, Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
It's not a metal album.
No.
Like they very much evolved into a metal band 100%, but the first album was a rock album.
Right. I actually have this theory about Judas Priest where the reason that they have their longevity is because they've always had their pulse, or their finger on the pulse of what was about to be the next metal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Painkiller is a Nawaba album. What's the one that has a Nightcrawler on it?
Painkiller.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I think I just fucked up my own podcast. Anyway, no, but I mean, like, Judas Priest always had their fingers on the pulse of what was about to happen in metal, and that's why they have their longevity.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I would say Judas Priest. They invented what was going to happen.
I agree.
I mean.
Oh yeah.
Well, the dual guitar, trade-off.
Yes.
I mean, that was them. It's like
they stripped away the psychedelic aspects and the blues aspects like Sabbath and Deep Purple had, and got it to where they took all that stuff away. To me, what they did was, I mean, in the 70s, you would buy an album by Nazareth or Deep Purple or whoever, and they would be like
Thin Lizzy.
There'd be a Thin Lizzy. There'd be a couple killer heavy tracks on it, and the rest, they might do a country song, they might do a ballad, any kind of song. Priest did all killer tracks, all metal tracks.
Right.
And they stripped away the blues and psychedelic aspects to just get right to the point.
I am embarrassed to not know this, like, just off the bat, but what came first? Was it Number of the Beast or Painkiller?
Well,
Number of the Beast was way before Painkiller.
Yeah, Painkiller was 90.
I thought, yeah.
So,
okay.
So
that's okay. That's when you were born.
Right.
Ow. But okay, we're still friends.
Right. Because you were born, what, in
85.
85, okay.
So and
Number of the Beast came out in
is
85,
right?
83.
83. Okay.
Yeah. But Priest beat Maiden. Like they were there before Maiden by a couple of years at least.
Yes.
Because I know Sad Wings of Destiny came out before Iron Maiden.
That's true. Okay, you're right.
Priest,
you're very right. Yeah.
Priest started in '74,
Right.
and Iron Maiden's first album came out in 1980.
Yeah.
So Iron Maiden was definitely influenced by Priest.
Right.
They won't say it. They always say they're influenced by Wishbone Ash and
Yeah.
Lizzie.
Yeah.
But it's obvious when you look at the back of the old.
Dude, the
Iron
only
Maiden
reason
albums.
that any metal band, because I fucking love Thin Lizzy. I have that vinyl. I love that shit.
Fucking
But the only
Phil
reason
Lynott.
that Thin Lizzy even gets lumped in with metal is because they fucking had a Frank Frazetta fucking picture on their album. They were not metal. Thin Lizzy was never metal. Thin Lizzy was never
Hard
metal.
rock.
You were hard rock and you were great, but
they were that proto metal kind of
Yes,
thing,
exactly.
and they also had the dual guitars. So,
Yeah.
They did.
It's like that was
Yeah.
that was kind of an important aspect of what evolved into.
There was, I agree. But however, we wouldn't even have. There would be no metal without like bands like Iron Butterfly that did these like fucking epic guitar solos and shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know that the proto metal that I think of is like Electric Wizard and Blue Cheer and like Arthur Brown and like these bands that like they weren't playing metal, but they had these like really long, drawn out solos and like a whole vibe to their music. I may be wrong. I don't care. It's my podcast.
Well, Electric Wizard is a little more recent than Arthur Brown and Blue Cheer.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking for Electric Wizard. I'm wrong. Iron Butterfly.
Iron Butterfly.
I apologize. Yeah. No, I was not thinking of Electric Wizard. I was thinking of Iron Butterfly. I'm a dick.
But,
Nah.
but Iron Butterfly and Deep Purple, yeah, definitely all Uriah Heep.
Uriah Heep. There was a band, Pagan Altar from Sweden, who was amazing, but did not get enough credit, in my opinion. Aphrodite's Child, dude. But like Aphrodite's Child, like, the leading horse was white.
You're too young for Aldo Nova, aren't you?
Dude, we're not doing shit. You don't understand. We're not just fans, dude.
Because Aldo Nova was like, when MTV first came on, they would play that song.
Oh, I know. That's when I did.
He would come jumping out of the helicopter in his fucking yellow or his leopard skin leotards.
Yeah, the song was
Fucking
Fantasy.
If I could rock that look now, I would.
Break open the walls to the fortress with his fucking guitar.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's badass.
But
But let's talk a little more about Iron Jaw.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
please. Yeah.
when did the band like officially begin?
I guess it was about maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Probably.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's recent, man.
I mean,
Like,
it seems right to me because I know we played one of you guys' earlier shows.
Yeah, you played one of our. We played at Tomcats together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we played at Tomcats, and that was probably one of our earlier shows. Yeah, I guess it was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just been slowly trying to build up a following and just not really that worried about it, just playing our stuff and
Just having fun, getting out there playing, doing what we do as dudes in bands.
not trying to take over the world, but still want to do it as good as we can, and still want to reach people and present ourselves the way we would like to be seen. Was it time limit?
We're good. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, it was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
We had another singer there for a while, and that was
Do
Rich.
you guys so in Iron Jaw? Because like I have not listened to Iron Jaw yet, like admittedly, but you guys typically do like clean vocals rather than like a harsh vocal or anything like that.
Yeah, singing.
Or am I wrong? Yeah.
Yeah, no, singing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's singing.
Well, Diesel Beast is one of the few bands in this area that does clean vocals and not guttural vocals or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was kind of interested.
Yeah, I'm not against guttural vocals.
I'm not either.
But
Not
like
everything
lyrics.
has to be guttural. It's
Right.
like there's I love singers. It's like I like songs. So
You
I'm
get
cool
to say
with
that
both.
because you're the dickhead that does both.
Right. Well,
no, we, like I said, going back to those old bands with melodies and songs.
Yeah.
We just wanted to do that, and that's the type of music we've done. We've pretty much stuck to that format, pretty much. And there's still a wide range of expression you can do within that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not to say that we wouldn't, have a more guttural type approach on some songs in the future, but so far
that's not what it's about. It's like I'm trying to tell a story here with lyrics or whatever the fuck, but like we have this guy that does this thing, and then if we need guttural vocals over it because it would make the entire project sound better, then we would do that. But like you don't always need to do that, in my opinion.
Well, every band is going to have its own unique character, or I guess. Not every band does, but every band should, right? The good bands do.
Yeah.
So it's going to have its unique character, and if it's a brutal band, then you're going to lean towards that way, and then maybe you'll reach a point where it's like, well, maybe we should, try some clean vocals, or maybe not. Or if you're a more melodic band, you're going to have your clean vocals, and then you might reach a point where you're like, well, maybe we should try a little something else, but maybe not. But it's still going to be like 80-90% what the band is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like there's room for experimentation,
you pick a
but
sound for
you're
the band,
still the
and
band.
yeah.
It's like you still want to sound like.
Also,
Iron
Christian
Joe.
and I were talking about this the other day. Just because you're in a fucking experimental band doesn't mean you get to experiment on stage, motherfucker. That means that you made something, and then you experimented with it, and then you played the actual finished project on stage.
Right.
Well, that's
not very jazz of you,
improvisation.
Carrick.
Yeah, what?
It's not very jazz of you.
Hey, I'm in Denton.
This is Denton.
Fuck jazz. Fuck all jazz, man.
I love him to get wound up on that.
Don't get me wound up on jazz. I'm sorry, I'm ruining the entire interview.
I'm not into jazz either. So
I fucking hate it, man.
So
play the goddamn note. You're not in a doom metal band, you asshole.
Tell us about your new singer. Like, how long have you had him in the band? It's Todd, right?
Todd,
yeah.
Yeah, he's been in the scene forever too. He's actually a very good drummer.
Okay. Do you know some of the other projects he's done?
Well, he played drums in Creeper.
Oh, okay.
He was a drummer
I
for
didn't
Creeper.
realize. My
I
bad.
played
I
drums
didn't know that
in
either.
Horror Cult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like a dick now because I played with both of those bands.
Yeah.
But my bad. Sorry, Todd.
Well, he's just a drummer, so.
No,
he's a good drummer.
Yeah.
In fact, I never even thought of him as a singer.
Uh-huh.
But his when we were looking for our singer, we had asked our other singer to leave, and we were looking for another one.
Can I ask how that happened? How do you? Because I've been.
It's
in a
not
band
easy,
through
man.
A couple of singers. No, I've been in a band through a couple of singers. Like, how do you just look at somebody and be like, "Hey, man, I don't think we like you anymore."
Last thing you want to do.
It's almost like breaking up with a
sucks.
girl. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're just like, man, I love you so much, but I can't be around you.
It's always
anymore."
risky to tamper with the formula.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you think, well, this one is going to be better or whatever.
Right.
Doesn't always work that way. Just like with girlfriends.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought that in order for us to reach more people and kind of take our band to another level, I just was looking for something different.
Okay.
The other band members felt the same way.
This isn't the direction we want to go.
Well, to be fair to Rich, and 100% fair to Rich, is that he is really a guitar player who sings. And when he approached me, I said, well, we don't need a
guitar player.
We don't need a guitar player. We got one, but we need a singer.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't know, how good I'll do in that role, but I'll give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And he did okay.
Yeah.
But we eventually reached a point where we thought, we might want to try something different.
Uh-huh.
And Todd has been fantastic. It was kind of funny because we were looking for a singer, and his wife just casually put up a video of him singing a Judas Priest cover.
Which one?
It was the Ripper.
Ripper?
Yeah,
Okay.
Nice.
And so we saw that, and we said, wow, I never thought of him as a singer,
Yeah.
And we called him up, and and he was into it. He claims that wasn't why they put that video up there, but I don't believe him. But anyway,
calling you out, man. Hot take on Warlord.
Having conversations.
It worked.
I've known Todd for many years. We've always talked about possibly doing a project together. He's got a little home studio set up, and we sent him some instrumental tracks, and then he put some stuff on there, and we liked it, and he did a great job. He's gave us a whole new dimension.
It's kind of weird how those things can kind of kismet sometimes, where you're like, hey man, I never even thought about you for this project.
Right.
And then you stepped in and like...
It works.
Totally, not just worked, but like that was what we were missing.
It is.
You know what I mean?
It really was. Everyone's agreed that's seen us, that it's, night and day. I mean, no one has, said, oh, y'all fucked it up or anything like that. So... I'm
saying it right here.
So we're happy about it.
Yeah. And then you guys just put out a new album.
Yes.
And this is the first recording with Todd on it, correct?
Right.
I got it.
We've got copies here.
Yeah.
So Rick was really nice and brought me swag.
Yeah.
And I love swag.
Yes.
Yeah, so
we're
I
gonna
want
be spinning
everybody
this
to
bad boy.
go out and buy this right now.
Yes.
Go out and buy it right now.
Are you guys on streaming as well? Did you post it up on like Spotify and Pandora and Google Play and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, can I ask you a question? This is a very personal question. But okay, the name of this album is called Chain of Command. And that is the chain that I go beat you with until you realize who's in command.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wrong?
That's exactly what it is.
All right, yeah, I'm with this, man.
It's not necessarily...
Tap my broken fingers, man.
It's not necessarily, following the chain of command in the literal sense, but, chain of command, it sounded cool.
It does?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's great. And then you guys just played a show at Gas Monkey Bar and Grill just last week.
Yeah.
Which we were there at.
We were both at, yeah.
Which you guys did a killer job.
Yeah.
It was a great night all the way around.
In fact, no offense to Billy the Fawn.
You was there too?
I love you, motherfucker. Dude, Lockjaw. Or Iron Jaw, rather. Lockjaw.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing?
Different band.
Yeah, Iron Jaw. Kill me.
I
love you, Billy. I love you.
I thought Skull Archer was killer, man.
Yeah,
Skull Archer's always killer.
Skull Archer
is always killer.
My boys
this
in
is
Skull Archer.
fucking,
And I got to give a shout out to our drummer, his band Run the Asylum, which opened the show.
Josh Lee.
The opening band, our drummer Josh plays with them.
Yeah.
I've always loved Run the Asylum. Billy.
So he's doing
Billy, I love
duty
you.
now.
He does double duty. So technically, we didn't steal him, but he was in Run the Asylum because he's in that with his cousin Mike, who's the guitar player. That's their band.
Yeah.
And
Josh is really good, man.
And Josh is a buddy of ours from way back in the day, and he's done a few projects, and we have one of them on the show, Penis. And
we do.
when we were going through some drummer transition and looking
Penis?
for somebody, and
I know Penis because
we hit him up, but it was kind of one of those things where we knew he was a killer drummer, but we had never really heard him play kind of like stuff like we do.
Mm-hmm.
And when we approached him, he was like, "Hey, would you be able to maybe just like help us out for some shows?" And then it just grew from there.
Yeah.
And now he's a permanent, full-time member of the band.
And I will say this, and Billy the Fond, I love you. I love you. But
We love Billy. And his Godzilla
Iron
fetish.
Jaw was my favorite band of the night. I'm sorry. And Run the Asylum, Josh, I love you too. I love Run the Asylum, but no, that was, and I'm not even pandering because I don't pander, man. I don't give a shit, but like, I fucking really liked your band. I really
appreciate it,
enjoyed
man.
your fucking band.
Yeah, you guys fucking kill. I mean, you guys, I've enjoyed your playing, through all your projects. But I was stoked to see that you had a new project come out.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah, man! I want to see you fucking out there shredding.
Well, everyone is into it. There's no drama between the band members. There's no.
It's important.
Yeah, everything seems to be going good. Everyone's contributing. Jeff writes songs. We all contribute and arrange the songs. Todd, he went back and actually rewrote some of the vocals on the old songs. He asked if that was okay. I said, well, yeah, if as long as it's cool,
Yeah, it fits.
Yeah, we'll try it. Because if it's gonna be, if he's gonna put his own stamp on it, then he's gonna feel more
invested.
Invested.
It's like his project now.
Right. So we shot a couple videos.
Yeah, actually,
I had a really big question.
Yeah,
okay.
he was just checking it out.
No,
before.
okay. So the Devil's Rain video, right?
Yeah.
Where did you record that video?
We recorded that at the warehouse. Jeff works for a sound company
Called.
I think it's called A Certain Sound, or something like that.
Okay, so my guitar player Jason Jared works at that same sound company.
Okay.
And I cleaned that fucking place out so that you guys could shoot that video.
How about that?
I know. As soon as I
circle
saw
of
that
life.
warehouse,
Yeah.
I was like,
You're
bro,
like, hey.
I wasn't just in that building. I cleaned that building out for you guys.
You did a
So
really
you're
good job.
welcome, sir.
It's a cool looking video.
we were looking for a place to shoot the video, and I think Clay suggested.
No, it's
He said,
think about that
he said
warehouse.
Jeff's got a warehouse. And I said, yeah, it's full of speakers and stuff.
Yeah.
We can just, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
perfect.
metal video. We can put
Hi,
it on
I'm the guy that
speakers.
cleaned out all those speakers, man.
Who shot it for you?
That one was shot by Mike Hubner, who's the guitar player for Life of Scars.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
he also shot the video for War Beast.
The Hitchhiker one?
No, he did that one.
Okay.
And also the first War Beast video, the Scorched Earth Policy, that one.
Oh yeah.
And he also did one of the Puncture videos.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been.
So you guys go back for a while.
Yeah, Mike Hubner definitely.
I'm not kidding though. Like, man, I watched 2 seconds of that video and I was like, I'm the one that cleaned out that warehouse.
You're right on.
I'm that guy.
Just a couple of questions. I want to get into the nitty gritty of like behind the scenes stuff for your band. Where do you guys practice at?
We practice at our bass player's house. He's in Northerton Hills, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is all the band kind of in that area, or does anybody have to come from far away or anything like that?
Todd lives in Carrollton. The rest of us
And
are
you're
pretty much in right
Fort
there in
Worth,
Northerton
right?
Hills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Northerton Hills right now.
Okay.
So
yeah.
not too bad for anybody.
No.
What about when you guys get to shows? Do you have like a van, or you just caravan, like all together, or?
Unfortunately, we don't have a van or anything. So, but 2 or 3 of the guys have pickups.
There you
and
go.
we just throw all the shit in the back. So far, we haven't had any major weather problems.
Hashtag
or
let's
rain.
get Iron Jaw van.
Yeah.
I know.
And then what about tuning? What are you guys playing?
Everything is a half step down, E flat.
Okay.
Flat.
Nice.
The decent be scored, actually.
There you go.
You
Yeah,
and I
because-
should play a show together.
Because
I think.
if you tune lower than that, people try to tune lower to get heavier. Your strings start flapping too much, and it's just it sounds heavy when you're by yourself. But
here's the deal,
to me,
man.
when those strings are tight, you get that snap, and I don't know. It's what I've always done. So
I'm a bass player, and so I've tuned like drop D, which go fuck yourself, and I've tuned C, and I've done everything I can, man. But every time I tune it any lower than E flat, it just sounds like I'm farting on the fucking fretboard. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I don't.
Yeah.
No, just like
Well, we're hiring you guys. We play any standard.
standard tuning. See,
Yeah.
You
that's
play
rock and
E
roll.
standard.
Yep.
Man, my band
Is
sucks.
that Alex's decision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of the things we actually kind of like talked about it before.
Did you?
Not in like a super serious way, but it was always kind of like, we don't really hear, but like we were both big fans of it. So why isn't anybody playing standard anymore?
Yeah.
It's like, because like you said, it's like I just like the sound of it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and
Well, I mean, like you
and
said,
it's
he's
it
playing
was
the E
his
flat.
decision because he's the guitar player. But I was just like reinforcing it. And I was like, no, I like that, because it's like, well, should we turn down? Because that's nothing wrong with it. Like I'm not hating
I'm
on
not
it.
gonna lie,
I'm just saying.
I
that
think,
it was like
I'm not
it was
gonna lie,
a
though.
conscious decision.
Dude.
It's like, well, we'll just kind of sound different than everybody else.
If you
and-
couldn't sing in that tuning, though, then you guys couldn't play in that tuning.
Well, that's true.
That's
Yeah.
true. And I think that's why a lot of bands tuned lower originally, like
Right.
Yeah.
like in
I
the
agree.
in the 70s, 80s, when I was learning songs off records,
Mm-hmm.
you'd always figure out, okay, Van Halen tunes to E flat,
Right.
Kiss tunes to E flat, Judas Priest standard tuning,
right.
Black Sabbath C sharp or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Because I remember trying to learn songs off Master of Reality, and I can't find
my
these
God,
notes.
yeah.
What's going on,
Yeah.
It's because they tune so low. But that's interesting that y'all use standard tuning.
Yeah.
Because you think, like, you've seen Silver Tongue Devil, like, they're heavy as fuck.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean...
Like, in the E standard tuning, though, like, my band, dude, we
Well,
try so hard to be heavy.
Foreigner tunes to standard tuning.
Yeah.
That's true, I did talk up Foreigner.
Yeah.
I did. I will never
There
that.
are bands I legit love that turn down way low, and I'm a big Meshuggah fan.
I believe that Rick
and
Perry
they're like
thinks it's hilarious,
ridiculously
like
low.
Foreigner.
But I just think that heaviness comes from songwriting, not tuning.
It does.
I agree.
And so it's like if you write a killer riff, it's going to sound killer like in C or E or whatever. And then at that point, it's just kind of like, what's your preference?
Right.
But my preference is either like standard or a half step down like you guys.
Me too. Like, I would like to, because here's the deal. Like, I could be the lead singer of a band if I was in C tuning or whatever, but I wouldn't be as effective.
Right.
Something like Diesel Beast or something like that is like in E flat, I have a singer that can actually pull that off.
Right.
So
Go
I
on
just
the
have to
CD?
play heavy fucking nasty riffs.
They got the vinyl.
I think we played with you before.
I don't think you have.
Have we not?
No,
Okay.
but I want to make that happen.
All right,
I
I'm
wanna
gonna
make
give
that-
you a free vinyl and a free digital, and I'm giving you a free everything, even a T-shirt. But yeah,
Right on.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. We're
Yes,
gonna
we
play
are.
another song here at the end. What's the second song that we're gonna play from Iron Jaw?
I picked No Speed Limit.
Okay, so give us a little backstory on No Speed Limit.
Well, it's just a...
Like, what type of song is this on the album? Is this a heavy song, or is this a more like a chill song with a groove to it, or how is this?
I would say it's a pretty energetic song.
Right on.
Yeah, it's pretty...
it's the last song on the album,
It's
so
a,
it's probably like
It's a direct to the point.
yes.
Yeah.
It's the coup de grace.
Right.
The guy who produced it said it was our punk rock song, which I don't think it's a punk rock song,
Okay.
but
Maybe just the vibe a little bit or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, killer. So No Speed Limit by Iron Jaw. Rick, thank you so much
I would
for
also,
coming
yeah,
out.
man, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Like,
Got
this
it,
is a
Adam.
massive.
You're off.
Fuck, that hurts so bad.
Oh shit, I forgot.
Sorry. Well, he's the one that gave you his broken hand.
No, Krishna broke my hand.
Sorry,
Didn't you?
brother.
No, I love you. No, I really appreciate
How'd you do
coming
that
out.
anyway?
Yeah, no, sword fighting.
Sword
Like-
fighting.
Do I
Actually,
look
yes.
like somebody that doesn't know how to sword
No,
fight?
you don't look like you'd be a
Thank you.
fencer at all.
Yeah, no. But anyway, Rick, it was such
Sorry.
a pleasure having you out tonight. And also, you're not done here. We're bringing you back for more shit.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna get you on a Godzilla episode. We're gonna bring Billy out, and we're gonna
Hell yes!
go
Why, yeah!
deep into the details of Godzilla.
Yeah.
So
All right.
thank you guys.
We would like to thank Krishna, we would like to thank Jared, we would like to thank Jake, and we would also
And
like
Ace.
to say, fuck Varg V. Kearns.
and Sublime. Fuck off.
Pedal to the metal like a shooting star, burning fast but brighter. Loaded, ejected, piston through the wall, engine thrust with power. Turning and burning, watch the moves I made. Love rushing, air rushing, every cell away. Now free limit. gun devil on your shoulder. Love crushing, head rushing, every silhouette. No speed limit. No speed limit. Oh, no speed limit. No speed limit.
You're listening to Warlord Radio Podcast. Please hit like and subscribe at the bottom.